Did the CIA create Star Trek? Okay, this is juicy. Come on in. This is Cosmic Road, where I discuss UFOs and the paranormal. If you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button and the bell next to it to be notified of future videos. Please hit like and comment below as I'm going through it. Okay, this scoop comes from Linda Moulton Howe from her latest Earth Files broadcast. She gives a weekly show, and I try to watch it every week. There's always something good in there, and she's one of the best researchers in the business, has been around this subject for a long time, and has some really good sources. Well, she has actually come out with this information before, but it didn't really click with me. But she repeated it today, and I thought it was worth making a video on. Let me know what you think. One of her sources has told her that the CIA, through Gene Roddenberry, created Star Trek. They were trying to get the word out to the American people about aliens and various, subject matter related to aliens, trying to tell people the aliens were goodly, that they were mostly humanoid, that there were, humanoids throughout the galaxy or the universe, and that they were interacting with humans, and that there was such a thing as the Prime Directive, where there was a non-interference policy in developing cultures. And that explains, theoretically, why they are not overtly interfering in our culture today. So I think that is a fascinating idea, and it's one that's been around for a while, that the CIA has been influencing Hollywood to make pro-alien propaganda. One of the examples that is usually given is the Day the Earth Stood Still, which is all about how aliens are good and enlightened, and humanity is backwards and barbaric and needs to do better. So I think that is fascinating, that potentially the government has been influencing Hollywood to make pro-alien propaganda since the 50s. Now, Linda doesn't really get into this, but the obvious question is, if that is true, then why are they making pro-alien propaganda? Well, the obvious answer is because they're working with the aliens, and the aliens want this information out there. They are tired of being portrayed negatively. They want at least some positive portrayals of aliens out there. And who could blame them? There's not all xenomorphs. There's some good stuff out there and some good aliens helping humanity. At least that's, what they're trying to portray. And that does seem to be true. I mean, I'm not consciously being, interacting with aliens, so I don't know. I can't tell you for sure. But, the weight of the evidence does suggest that there are aliens helping us. And there's different sources, what I call silos of information about this, and they report different things about the aliens and their agendas. And I'll get into that in a later video. That's outside the scope of what I'm talking about today. I'm mainly just interested in exploring the subject. Have the aliens, in conjunction with the government, with the CIA, whoever, been influencing Hollywood to spread this pro-alien propaganda? But if that's true, it raises another question. Why have they not stopped the negative portrayals of aliens? Why have they not stopped, the xenomorphs, etc., Mars attacks, all the negative portrayals of aliens? Are they in some ways prohibited from that? Or have they stopped projects that we don't even know about? That is always a possibility. But in any event, there are plenty of negative portrayals of aliens out there. So maybe they can't stop negative portrayals from being made, but they do try to push positive portrayals to have some sort of balance, in theory. It's interesting when you think about the government's influence on the public on this topic, because it's pretty well confirmed at this point that the government has been suppressing UFO news stories for a long, long time. and stories on the phenomenon in general. They have been suppressing this information for a long, long time. So I mean, the earliest one that I can find is in the like 1906 or something. So and that was a small town in, I think, New England. There was a newspaper report of a crash of some strange, crazy ship, and the next day they retracted it. So, you know, it seems clear to me that somebody compelled them to retract that, and that had to be the government. So they've been doing this for a long time, and it was around then that the reports of the giants started drying up. I think it was like in the early 19-teens. That's when the last reports of the mainstream reports of the giants appeared. And we're talking about like in the New York Times. The New York Times had at least a couple of articles about the giants. So a mainstream science was looking into the issue of the giants and why people were finding giant bones all over the place. And these weren't misidentified mammoth or dinosaur bones. I mean, they had the skulls and everything. So, you know, so the government started suppressing the UFO stuff around the same time that they began suppressing the giant stuff. And so, you know, the Smithsonian even had a whole skeleton, a whole giant skeleton, or, you know, remains. It was more than a skeleton. So, you know, very interesting why all of a sudden the government cracked down on that in the early 1900s. What happened there? But in any case, they have been suppressing UFO stuff and phenomenon-related information for over 100 years. And so at least beginning in the 40s or 50s, they began spreading pro-alien propaganda, seemingly. Again, I can't confirm Linda's sources, but this is an idea that has come up again and again, and that's not to say that it's true, but it's plausible. And it makes sense if the Army or the Air Force in particular was working with the beings, that the beings would want some positive portrayals out there. And if we were looking at it very generously, we could be saying that they wanted some accurate information out there, that the universe is teeming with intelligent life. There are many humanoids out there. There is something called a prime directive. You know, there's a galactic federation. A lot of that may very well be true. The Israeli astrophysicist who was involved with their version of NASA said that there was a galactic federation. And there have been many others that have said similar things, but he's one of the most high-ranking that I can think of off the top of my head. At least I hope they're spreading real information. I hope these are benevolent beings. There definitely seems to be a lot of benevolence. They do help people. I've done a massive amount of research on alien abductions, and there are numerous cases of them healing people, teaching people how to connect with their spiritual selves, actually teaching people how to read their own auras and things, people and other people's auras. And people come away from these encounters learning how to do energy healing and all sorts of stuff like that. So there is a great deal of benevolence in the alien encounters, and the fact that humanity is still here shows that they don't seem to want to wipe us out. The frustrating part of this story is that there's just not a lot of meat on these bones. Talk about the giant bones. Well, those had meat on them, the ones at the Smithsonian. This one, there's not a whole lot of meat to it. It's a juicy story, the idea that the CIA is putting this information out there, and that's exactly the sort of thing that the CIA would do, and it makes sense that they would do it. And this is a story that has been oft-repeated, so it has at least a little weight to it because of that. But, you know, a many times repeated rumor still just makes it a rumor. But I do lean toward buying it. I think this is highly plausible and very likely the case. What do you think? Let me know in the comment section below. As always, please hit like on this video. I would really appreciate it. Also, please subscribe if you haven't already, and if you do, please hit the bell next to it to be notified of future videos. And as always, share this video on social media. That would be awesome. I'm trying to build the channel. And let me know in the comment section what you would like me to make videos on. What subjects in the phenomenon interest you the most. Okay, until next time, Cosmic Road out.